Hi everybody, welcome back. Continuing on with the work on the winter layout, we're going to be doing the water effects on here, adding a waterfall and adding some snow and ice. As always, big thank you to my channel members. Scrolling down here, do check out the channels, links are down below. If you'd like to become a channel member, hit the join button or join me on Patreon. Best way to help me out is just give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Now we'll have a look at what we're going to do here today. This is the area we're going to put the water feature in. So we're going to have water up here, coming down via a waterfall down to this level. So there'll be more water cast down here. This area has all been painted and sealed using a matte varnish. So that'll stop any of the resin seeping away, hopefully. So we're going to start off by putting some stonework down in the bedding here. I've got some stone that's come off of here when I was making this. I've painted it. Put that around, we'll put some smaller gravel in around that and then some finer stone again, just to give the idea of a riverbed. And then we can seal everything off and do the pour. So this is the upper level. We're going to start with this bit. The lower level will be done the same sort of way. So we're going to take some PVA glue. It's almost running out. And we're just going to brush that round. This is for sticking the rock and stonework to. So we're going to use a different colour of stone. So I've got some here. Now these basically came from breaking bits of plaster up and then just colouring them. So we're going to scatter some of them around. Some bigger stones in there. Let's try and put them around randomly. Then I've got some, this is chicken grit. I've used it before for ballast. I'm going to sprinkle some of that around. Again, just to give stone effect to the riverbed. This should just stick to wherever the glue is. I'm just going to get a brush and just move it around. I've got some finer gravel again. Again, this is a different colour. This is what I usually use for ballast. So just a little bit of that around. It helps fill in any of the other gaps. So you have a nice mixture of colours there in what will be the riverbed. So now I'm just going to leave that to dry, probably for about 24 hours, come back tomorrow, and then we'll do the resin pour on that bit. And I'm going to repeat this process down below, and when I've done that, I'll show it to you as well. So there's the gravel layer for under the water complete, on the lower level as well. So we got a good mixture of sort of gravel sizes there, so it look quite effective under the water. These, of course, here are the basis for the viaduct that's going to go across there. It's going to be a relatively shallow pour of water, just enough to cover this gravel and leave some of the bigger rocks sticking out, so then I can add some ice and water flow effects around them. So I'm going to be using the realistic water from Woodland Scenic along with the water effects and of course some Mod Podge to create ripples. So hopefully it'll look quite nice. I'm going to do some icing around the edge of the river where it might have frozen during a hard winter, and the same up the top here, some icing around the side, and then we'll have the waterfalls cascading down. You might note on here where you can see the little bits of white, that is some of the water effects used as a dam, just to dam these off, and that's about where the waterfall will be coming down in a couple of different streams down into the water below. So I'm going to leave all this to dry now, probably overnight, and then I'll come back and I'll be doing the water pour. Time to do the water pour. So I'm using the Woodland Scenic Realistic Water. Now it says this doesn't actually set hard. So whenever you build a diorama or anything, you have to keep it level. So I'm just going to pour this in gently. It says do it in 1/8 of an inch thicknesses, which is about 3 or 4 mil, and you can do it up to 1/2 an inch, which would be about 12 mil. So I'm just pouring it in gently, and it's supposed to dry clear. I'll pour it in. Right. I think that's deep enough for the first pour. It also says do not use with PVA, so I'm hoping it won't react with the PVA that I've used to glue it down, and I'm not sure how the Mod Podge is going to work on top with ripples, so I'll probably do a small section of that just to test it, make sure it doesn't react or make it go cloudy or something once it cures. But I put this in. I'm going to tease the edges now with a skewer just to make sure it goes where I want it. It seems to have gone in quite well. It's given the sort of effect I wanted, some of the rocks sticking out, some of the gravel showing. I will be building the level up a little bit more. Well, I can see I've got a leak as well. It's gone over the dam there, so I'm going to try and clean that up. Right, I'm going to dam off the bottom section and do that as well, and then it's going to be a case of leave it for 24 hours to cure and come back and have a look at it. It's a few days later after doing the pour, and disaster has struck. Let's have a look at what went wrong. So as you can see, the realistic water has drained away. These dams I put up here obviously weren't sealed in correctly, and as you can see there, it's run down and leaked. Now I'm hoping that'll just give a wet effect on the rock, so I need to take these off, reseal them and do another pour. Not only that, the water from here leaked away. There's a little pinhole just right here, and all of it leaked down and out across the baseboard. So I've got a bit of a mess here to clean up, so I'm going to reseal this and try again. Well, this has all gone relatively hard here, and now it just looks like a wet effect. So I'm hoping if I put another layer on that, build it up, it should look okay. So I'm going to do all that, and then I'll come and show you when it's done, and then it'll be a day or two before it's dried, and then we can get on with doing some more work on it. It's about a week later now, and I've done a couple of pours. It's all stayed in, hasn't leaked out again. So I think it's looking okay now. The upper level, you can see here where underneath it's reacted a bit with PVA glue I used to seal it. Not too concerned, because I'm going to do some ripples and all that on there, so you won't really see it. If anything, it might add to the effect of the water. What I'm going to do now is, because this is a winter scene, I'm going to add a little bit of ice around the edges. So to do that, I'm going to use the water effects just to create a sort of line with a little dam, and then I'm going to take the realistic water, mix it with a bit of white acrylic paint. I'm not going to mix it up too much, don't want to get any bubbles into it, and just put a little layer of that around the edges using the water effects to dam it in. So I'm going to do that along these edges here, and also this side and this side here where the water is shallower in the river. Hopefully that'll give a nice sort of frozen effect, and then I can blend it all in when I do this, the rest of the scenics and the snow coming into it. Let's see how this works out. So I've got my water effects here. I'm just going to basically draw a line with this. So that acts as a little dam. Then I have some of the realistic water, a little bit of white in it. So hopefully when I pour this in now, I only want a very thin layer. So when I don't want it to go over the dam, I'm just going to tease it around. Maybe a little bit more. Now, that should set with a sort of off-white opaque colour. So it'll look like ice, and I can put a little dusting of snow on the top of it as well. The water effect will hopefully keep it dammed in, so it won't spread across the water. So I'll have clear water here, and sort of ice covered water here, which I can blend in with the snow. So we'll leave that now, 24 hours, let it set, see how it looks. I'll carry on and do the other sides, and then we'll come back in 24 hours and see how it looks. Need to get on and make the waterfalls now. So again, using the water effects, I've got an old mirror here which I've cleaned, and I've got a ruler. I know I need these waterfalls to be about 9 centimeters high, so I'm going to make this now about 12 centimeters because you want a little bend and a little bit to attach it. So using the ruler, or you could just draw a line on here so you know. I'm just going to apply it down. And the idea of you doing this on a mirror is that it will be easy to peel off. Now I'm going to make a few of these because I need ones different thicknesses. And you're just using the water effects just to fill in. You don't want it too thick, but at the same time you don't want it too thin either. So you can peel it off. Let's do a bigger one. You want different ridges and everything in it. The different thicknesses. Some of it will dry clear, some of it will stay more opaque and white where it's thicker, which is what you want when you're doing a waterfall, just to give that effect. That's come out a bit too thick there. And then using a cocktail stick or a skewer, just go and tease it around, move it around, make sure you've got a good coverage, and vary the edges of it as well because you don't want it all uniform. Move this ruler out of the way. I'll just move it around, give it some ripple effect. It's hard to know what this will look like because as it dries it can contract a wee bit and it will look different, which is what you want. You want variation, so it looks a bit of a mess at the moment. I'm going to put that one on a bit too thick. But hopefully it will dry in about 24 hours. Then I can just peel them off. So we'll leave them to dry 24 hours. The ice effect I put in, that's dry, and it'll take another 24 hours, so hopefully we'll come back tomorrow, have a look, and start putting in the waterfall. It's 24 hours later, and I hope you enjoyed the last 2 minutes of looking at mostly the back of my hand. Sorry about that, but that's what happens when I don't have Donegal daughter to help me film. But I hope you got the gist of what I was trying to do there. So this is hardened nicely, and hopefully you can see now it looks like ice. When I put the snow and everything and blend it all in, it'll look a lot better. I've thinned out the dam that I put on there, so hopefully this will dry a bit clearer. And also when I put the ripples on, which I'm going to do shortly now, I'll help blend all that in. So it'll all make a nice scene. And when we go down to the lower level, you can see there'll be snow coming down here, coming onto the ice here, just to give the winter effect. Okay, so let's get on now with putting the ripples, the main part. And for that we're going to be using Mod Podge gloss, painting it on, and then using our clean airbrush just to blow some ripples in. So I'll try and put the camera in a better position this time so you can see what I'm doing, and we'll get cracking on it. Right, hopefully we can see this a lot better. I'm trying to get my hand in the way. So we're going to do this section here. I'll show you what I do, and then I'll carry on and do the rest off camera. So basically it's get some of the Mod Podge, and you're just painting this on. Remember, this is Mod Podge gloss, not matte. And I'm just painting it around the stones I've got sticking out, whereas I'll come back later and put some higher ripples around those. So I'll be using the water effects for that, for putting the bigger ripples in. And also when it's done, I'll be trimming the edge here as well, when I've got everything completed. So might get a bit noisy now with the airbrush coming on, but clean airbrush, and you're just looking at gently moving it around. Right, there's the compressor kicking in. And this will just add to the ripples. And then as this dries, it should dry clear, but it'll leave ripples, and then maybe I can go over with a little bit of white dry brushing just to highlight some of the ripples. That's basically how you do it. I'll just carry on doing the next side, and then once I've got it all done, I'll give you a quick shot, and then we'll leave it 24 hours and come back and have a look at it. There's all the Mod Podge done now. I'm going to leave that to dry overnight and come back and have a look at it in the morning and see how it looks. And by that time the waterfalls should be dry, and we can go around putting them on and using the water effects to create higher ripples around the rocks and the waterfall. I don't know if the camera's quite picking that up, but you can just see the ripple effects now on the water and on there. It's quite a subtle effect, so it just gives the impression of flowing water. So now we'll go over to the waterfall bits I've made, and you can see they're stuck to the glass there. They've dried, it's actually a few days later, so they've dried as much as they're going to now, so they should just peel off quite easily. So it's just a matter of getting the edge, gently peeling it off. There we have a waterfall. Doesn't actually look like much there, but we'll go over now to where it's going to be placed, and we'll put it in situ. So we've got the waterfall. I'm just going to put it in place, spilling over the edge, putting it down. So I'm just holding it in place for now, just to see the positioning of it. You know, that doesn't actually look too bad. I get another one, peel that off gently. Just put it over to the side. So I'm just positioning these now roughly where I want them. And then what I'll do is I'll use some of the water effects to actually hold them in place. I might actually trim them a bit, they're a little bit long. Just see how that goes. Oh, one's fallen off. Yeah, that doesn't actually look too bad. So what I'll do is I'm going to take some of the water effects. I'm going to put some of it in this tub here and then use a large skewer to put it around where I want. It just gives a bit more control than the nozzle. So let's get this in place. I'll move the camera a little bit so you can see. So, yeah, you can see I've got some on the end. I'll put this up here. Affix that to it so that should dry clear, and then the same down at the bottom end here. See roughly where we're going to put it. Now to hold the waterfall in place. So I'm just going to repeat that with the rest of it now off camera and then come back and show it to you, and then we'll look at using it to create some ripples around and see how it looks. So I'll come back in a second. That's them stuck in place now where I want them. So again, using the water effects that I've decanted and a skewer, I'm just going to put this around to make rough water. Just trying to do it in sort of semicircles, sort of bigger, closer to where the waterfall's hitting the water, and then gradually going out into lower peaks around. This also helps disguise where it's actually stuck to the water. I think it might be a case of doing some of this, letting it dry, and then coming back and looking at it and seeing if it needs some more added. This probably needs a little bit of artistic flair, which is something I don't really have, but I'll put this in. And we'll see how it looks as it dries. I'm hoping the thinner bits will dry clear, leaving sort of bigger white peaks, so it looks like the water is splashing as it cascades in, and putting it out thinner as I go around, so less peaks. So I'm going to let that dry, have a look at it in the morning, see how it looks. I've got some fine fibres to put in behind it to look like water spray coming up. So we'll let that dry. I'll add that filler later and just see how it looks. So there's the bits I've done. And let that dry. You also see I've done a bit around the rocks that are sticking up through the water, where you'd have a little bit. So we'll just see how that dries now and how it looks in the morning. As I say, I've got some fibrous material to put around here to make it look like spray coming up. So, but I'll let all that dry and stick in place first before I go putting that in place. We'll come back and have a look in the morning. Here we are, it's the next morning. And we can see I've put some fibrous material there behind it. This is just this fibrous stuff here, white. I think I got it out of an old pillow. I just took it and thought that'd be handy at some point, and it gives the effect of spray behind the waterfall. I think I still need to do a bit more work with this water effect. Some of it's dried quite clear, so I think I need to add a few more ripples. Likewise around the rocks here, some of it's dried quite clear, so I need to make the peaks a bit thicker so it looks a bit more like rough water. But overall, I'm quite pleased with that effect. I think it looks quite good. So next job now is to do all the scenery, blend all that in. So I'll be masking this off and then I'll be doing the scenery, but that's another video. There we go. There's the water scene more or less complete. A few bits to do to it yet. Just want to do a bit more refinement on the ripples and that, but I'll do that as I do the rest of the scenery and try and blend it all in together. Don't forget to check out my channel members and give me a thumbs up and leave any comments or questions down below. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.